What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Fantasy Stock Exchange here, bringing you a new installment to the channel, which is a 2021 NFL mock draft, real life, real teams, real prospects. Today, I'm actually joined by my good friend Garrett Ballard over at With the First Pick. Garrett, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. This channel creates some great fantasy content, draft content. If you guys want more, you can follow me over at NFL Ballard on Twitter. Danny will put the link down in the description. But yeah, let's get this going.
Excited to get going. So we're gonna start off at the first pick, and we pre-recorded another video for this, and we were messing around, but we'll go right into it. It's gonna be Trevor Lawrence, quarterback from the Clemson Tigers. I mean, talk a little bit about this prospect right here, because I really don't see many flaws in this game.
Yeah, there's no other pick to be made. The Jaguars need a quarterback. He's the best one available. Would have been the best one available in the last 8 drafts. I don't know, maybe even more than that. But from just a trait standpoint, you got the size, the speed, the throwing mechanics, the accuracy, the throw, like the arm strength, just everything you could ask for is there with this player.
Literally like a complete prospect. I mean, heck, like, it'd be crazy because he'd probably still be the first pick, even if it was like 6'1", 6 foot. But he's 6'6".
Yeah.
He's 6'6" with all those traits. Again, you mentioned the arm strength, the deep ball talent, the mental processing, the accuracy. It's all there. And if you're a Jaguars fan, you're thanking your lucky stars that the Jets fumbled that pick. But talk about the Jets.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, winning meaningless games in December has been the kryptonite of so many NFL teams. And while they lost Trevor Lawrence with it, but I don't think Justin Fields is all too bad of a player either. So
yeah, no, definitely. Talking about that, Justin Fields here at 2. I think that's a really good fit as well. Obviously, you lose out on Trevor Lawrence, but Justin Fields is a very good number 2 quarterback prospect. Probably, again, you mentioned would have been the number 1 most likely last year as well. Talk about it. I mean, doesn't have the 6'6" size and frame of a Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, at 6'3", he's mobile, got a good arm, not elite like Trevor Lawrence, but again, you could talk a little bit about Fields as well.
Yeah, it's just they're different types of players, obviously. Like Trevor Lawrence is, I think, obviously when you look at Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, you're like, oh, Justin Fields has the running ability, but I think obviously Trevor Lawrence does too. But I also think Justin Fields has some pretty underrated passing talent. Obviously, that's like processing speed and getting the ball out quick enough, avoiding sacks is going to be a knock on Justin Fields. But those are coachable things that some coach in the NFL can say, hey, I can mold that into a really, really good quarterback who can lead my team for the next 15 years.
For sure. Definitely feel like Justin Fields has that type of potential as well. Fully agree there. Number 3, we got the Miami Dolphins. And we were talking about it before we started recording. This is a really interesting spot because, again, you want to give Tua help. And quite frankly, their receiving room is not too great right now, to say the least. However, I think we can both agree there's one prospect on the board right now that if you're the Dolphins, you can't pass here.
Yeah, especially with 2 first-round picks, if you get the chance to draft the best offensive tackle in the last 2 years, you're going to take it.
Yep.
So Penei Sewell from Oregon's the pick here. He's, I'm pretty sure, one of the youngest players in the class too. So every once in a while, he'll have like a technical flaw. He'll like work his way into some issues, but he'll develop into one of the best tackles in the NFL. And even down the road in his career, when he gets long in the 2, when he gets older, you can slide him into guard. He has the movement speed and the length to do that.
For sure. Again, like when you're talking about a tackle who's a fluid athlete, great functional strength, again, like people are going to knock maybe like he's not the most consistent in terms of his feet, if you will.
Yeah.
But
he's not like if you look at the tackles from last year, you got a Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills, who are just crazy athletes. He's not that level athlete. I'd say his athleticism is probably more comparable to Andrew Thomas from last year, actually, which is still, it's fine. Like, there's no issue with it. Like, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's just somewhere in between. But his technique and his hand placement and his functional strength, like you said, is out of this world.
For sure. Talking about the 4th overall pick here, we got the Falcons on the clock. And this is a weird spot, okay? Because Matt Ryan's old. He's expensive. And you got a prospect, in my opinion, in Zach Wilson, who's every bit worth the spot. However, You could make the case that they could go best defensive player on the board if
Yeah.
you're trying to win now. However, I do think, again, they're going to be replacing their head coach this year, whether it's Raheem Morris staying or getting a new one. I think a new coaching regime is going to really want a young quarterback to build around. But what are your thoughts on this?
No, I agree with you completely. Matt Ryan isn't necessarily the issue in Atlanta, but when you hire a brand new head coach and GM, they're going to want to attach their name to a young guy that they can hinge their career on. And Zach Wilson might not be everyone's favorite quarterback prospect in this class. Some people like Trey Lance over him, but the upside is undeniable.
Fully agree there.
Yeah.
Now we got on the clock at 5 being the Cincinnati Bengals, and let's just say they're pretty heartbroken that Penei Sewell's gone. And I mean, there's one guy on the board here that actually played with Burrow in college, but he does need protection. So what are your thoughts here? Do you take that receiver, or do you end up giving him a tackle to help keep him upright?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think we're doing no trades in this mock,
No trades.
but on draft day, this is a scenario where I could definitely see them trading down with a team maybe like the 49ers who want to come up and snag that last of the big four quarterbacks, get their guy. But I don't know if I would take the next offensive tackle here. And I don't know if I would take wide receiver just because of the depth of the class. So I would lean Pat Surtain from Alabama, the corner.
Definitely a good fit, especially with William Jackson not being secured.
Exactly,
And if you have it, even if you do bring him back, you still have issues beyond him.
Right.
So getting that 1A, 1B type corner with Pat Surtain, I also agree is a really good fit for the team here.
Yeah.
Now we got the Eagles at 6, and what a mess of a year for that team.
Yeah, man.
They're 95 over the cap. They're not sure who their quarterback's going to be for the future. Yes, Jalen Hurts had a decent looking 4-game stretch, but in reality here, you paid Carson Wentz $33 million a year. He's probably going to get traded at some point. You're not sure if Jalen Hurts is the answer. Where do you lean here? Because I feel like they can go a multitude of ways.
You can. Obviously, you can talk about the quarterback, but I think it's really unlikely that they do draft one this year. Just because they have such a big need at linebacker and wide receiver. Like at linebacker, I think they're starting like Nate Gary, who is really bad. He's really bad. And at wide receiver, you have your best wide receiver is Fulgham, Travis Fulgham. Jalen Reagor's a rookie, but Fulgham's been that guy all year where people are like, oh, Wentz, that's his reliable target. But
it's
how long is that going to happen? He's going to regress back to the mean,
Yeah. Like me and Matt were sharing a laugh because literally at like week 7 this year, there were Eagles fans trying to say he was the best receiver in the division, and like it's hilarious.
He's a big possession guy. That's all. But building off that, as I just said in the last pick, the receiver class is deep, but I don't know if Howie Roseman and the front office can justify skipping a receiver here.
Okay, yeah, I agree here. Now, which one are you thinking here? Because there's one in particular that really catches my eye in terms of a fit on the team. But what are your thoughts?
I do think it would be Jamar Chase in the end.
I think it would come down for Chase or Smith.
Yeah.
Now, because of what we saw from him at an earlier age, maybe the team prefers that. I'm fine with either here. And I think Chase is a good fit as well. So nab him here at 6 for the Philadelphia Eagles. So now we are at the 7th overall pick with the Detroit Lions. And another interesting spot, another veteran quarterback on actually a cheaper contract. But what are you thinking here with a new coach? Like, do they move on from Stafford? Do they draft a successor, or do you build around him?
See, I think they can stick with Stafford, personally. I think he has been not misused, but they have done a very poor job building around him because when he's healthy, he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. To me. And when you have your top receiver, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, and who's their third? Oh, it's Quintez Cephas. Never mind. He's under contract.
Cephas.
The first two, though, they're not under contract for this next season, and I don't think either of them are coming back because of how the front office managed them in Detroit. So much like the Eagles, I think this is a must-draft wide receiver position. And if you think about all the names that I just said, Quintez Cephas, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Golladay, none of them have that elite separation ability. They're all just the big body, get up and get it type receiver, you know?
The thing is, both the receivers we're eyeing here are really good separators as well.
They are, yeah, they are.
Now,
what are you leaning here? What are you leaning here? I want to hear what you got to say.
I kind of like the fit of Waddle adding that different element to their offense. Because Smith is probably the more refined all-around receiver. I think we can both agree. But the dynamic yards after catch ability that Jaylen Waddle can add to this offense when you got those two physical receivers on the outside, stick them in the slot, let them run that position, give really Matt Stafford an intermediate weapon to go along with those two big physical boundary receivers. I think that would be the best fit. But what are your thoughts here? Because I'm fine with either.
I'm with you. I think it's Waddle. Even if they do end up bringing those two big body receivers back and they stick him in the slot as like a gadget type player a little bit, I can't really say gadget, but that true deep threat that can stretch the field because of his elite speed. Even if those two don't come back, you can stick Waddle on the outside. He can be your X. He can be your go-to guy.
Yep. I agree there fully. Now we got the Panthers at 8, and yes, I know that they have a ton of defensive needs, but Bridgewater is a bridge quarterback. He's not a long-term quarterback. And if I'm the Panthers and a guy like Trey Lance is staring me at the face here, I can't pass on him. I can't. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. It's just a matter of, do they feel like their defensive needs are more important at this point? Because we saw what Joe Brady was capable of doing with Bridgewater last year. Yeah. Do they try and upgrade that? Do they try and repeat that just to have like that game manager type quarterback who can just do what they need him to do?
And ideally, I would agree with, like, you could take a defensive player here. Specifically, like, I mean, the main one on the board here, in my opinion, would be a Parsons to replace Kuechly. Yeah, however, the thing is he a true Mike right away in the NFL?
That's the question. Right away, I lean no.
And you got a guy in Jeremy Chin who can give you a multitude of experimental options on defense.
Yep.
And quite frankly, I think that would be the best role for Parsons right away. I think you can agree with that as well.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Not necessarily like a hybrid safety, but kind of just a hybrid linebacker edge rusher type guy.
Yeah, like a Sam who can do a multitude of things.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I am gonna go Trey Lance here, like you said.
I like that.
Trey Lance, a lot of people don't like him because he played at North Dakota State, and they're like, "Oh, Carson Wentz sucked this year," and I'm like, "That's really dumb of you to say," because Carson Wentz and Trey Lance aren't very similar personally. Like, I think Trey Lance has a cannon. The dude can sling it like as far downfield as you need him to, and he's an athlete too. He can run. He's ran quarterback power and quarterback draws all the time at North Dakota State. He's tough.
He's basically the small school Cam, if you will, like strong arm, really good athlete, built like a truck.
He's got that size too. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so I like this.
What are you thinking here at number 9 for the Denver Broncos?
They're pissed that Trey Lance just went off the board.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
You're not thinking Kyle Trask?
I am not picking Kyle Trask.
Joking.
Oof.
Parsons makes sense here because, like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if anybody's going to be able to use him, it would be a guy like Fangio.
Yeah, you're right in that. But do they go Caleb Farley?
They could do that too.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I do think that corner is definitely a bigger need than linebacker.
That's fair.
So I would go I think the only time I would not go Caleb Farley here is if there was a quarterback available.
I agree.
Like one of the good ones.
Yeah, not Trask.
Yeah. Caleb Farley's my CB1.
Yeah.
I know we took Surtain before him, but that's because we think the NFL will take Surtain before Farley. But Caleb Farley, he's a freak. He has insane athleticism, great technique, and he's only been playing the position for 2 years. So
it's insane.
Yeah.
Now I'm at such a weird spot.
Yeah, this is tough. This is tough.
So weird. Because on one hand, like, if you're going best player available, it's Kyle Pitts. However, we have Jarwin under contract. Schultz looked good this year. So I want to go with Pitts because he's the best player available, but it just doesn't make enough functional sense.
Yeah, I know a lot of Cowboys fans love Kyle Pitts, and I mean I don't blame him. I do too, but you look at the hype that Blake Jarwin got last year before his injury. I don't think that went away just because he got injured. Like I think he's going to come back and garner that same hype from the front office and coaching staff. So this is a tough situation because obviously Kyle Pitts is Kyle Pitts. He's one of the freakiest tight ends we've ever seen. He catches everything, but Caleb Farley's also off the board. Patrick Surtain's also off the board. So it's kind of like you're stuck in a what do I do situation.
There's 3 potential guys that make the most sense here. For actually, I mean you could say 4. Okay, actually you could say 5. There's, I mean, the way I'm looking at it is you could go with one of the edge rushers and Pay or Ojolari here.
Right.
You could go with Parsons.
Right.
You could go with Pitts, and obviously again Horn.
Right.
Or you could take Darisaw.
So
now,
I'm going to throw a name out there, just testing the waters here. This is not a surefire thing, but Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
It makes sense. The problem that I have with it is we don't necessarily know who's going to be the next in line at defensive coordinator for the Cowboys because Mike Nolan's probably not coming back. And if I'm not getting a creative defensive coordinator that can use a guy like JOK in a multitude of facets,
that's fair. I
don't like the fit because, again, I think similar to an Isaiah Simmons type, not like in terms of a freaky athlete. I'm talking about in terms of versatility. Similar role. I mean, he give you a little bit of value in the nickel. You could play some traditional linebacker for you. You don't necessarily want him to be in between the tackles thumper, but you want to get him in space. You want to get him to make plays on the boundary. And again, this is a guy, cover skills, some of the best we've seen from the linebacker position in quite a while. So I like it if we got a creative defensive coordinator. The only problem is knowing Mike McCarthy, knowing Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
I can't see them going with anything too extravagant. Like if they somehow pulled up like a Brandon Staley type.
Yeah.
But
yes, please. But
yeah, for real.
I
think I'm thinking Horn.
I am too. I was about to say that. I'm leaning Horn because you have to get a corner. That secondary is not great. I know you have a rookie back there in Trayvon Diggs, but
after him it's bleak. Like Anthony Brown's probably our next surest bet at corner right now because the others are free agents, and he could be a serviceable 3-4 nickel corner for you. But in reality here, you need a guy to pair on the opposite side of Diggs, and Horn's got the potential to do that. I mean, this is a feisty, physical corner who can absolutely bully people off the line, will get in their head. Like, I like that. Not to mention you got Diggs on the other side who's kind of got that nasty streak to him as well. You're just building a mean cornerback room, and I really like that fit here. So like Horn. Now we got the Giants on the clock here, and if Micah Parsons makes it to them at 11, I just don't see them passing on him.
Yeah.
Joe Judge has seen what athletic marvels on defense has done, obviously with his personal experience in New England. And Parsons is a typical guy who would land on the Patriots, so I don't see him making it past the Giants, who are coached by said former Patriot coach. But what are your thoughts here?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like we said earlier, we're not sure if Parsons is a first day starter Mike, but you can build him into that role. He's a freaky athlete. Like you can't. It's wild. Just watching
every play.
Oh yeah. He sideline to sideline range. He has some issues with block deconstruction, but when he can
misdirection as well.
Yeah, when he can knife through the line.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no one better. I mean, it's crazy to watch. So getting him in that defense, I mean, kind of that intermediary between the defensive line and the secondary, who's been very good this year. You're starting to build a good unit there, a really good unit.
For sure. Giants fans should be happy with that one. Now number 12. Obviously, you're in a weird predicament if you're the Niners. Obviously, all the top quarterbacks went off the board, and all the top corners went off the board here too.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts here?
The Niners hate this pick. This is another. If this scenario happens, this is a trade down. You have to. Yeah. Obviously, like they need some interior offensive line help, but this is too high for any of them.
Yeah, I agree.
This is hard, man. This is really hard.
Do you just take a guy like Slater and say fuck it?
No, I don't think so.
Because they might. I mean,
this is gonna sound weird, but the NFL values this type of player really highly. Darion Kendrick.
I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all.
They
Especially
have a massive need at corner. It's dire, and just like last year, he's comparable to another Clemson cornerback, AJ Terrell, who is playing some good football with the Falcons this year. He's been one of the better rookie corners. He has the traitsy athleticism and has a few technique flaws that need to be fixed, but he's new to the position. Like, he's only been playing it for a couple years, so I think that upside is going to really draw him to be drafted in the top 20 or top 15.
I fully agree. Again, we were talking about AJ Terrell going into the draft cycle last year. Oh, maybe he's a second rounder, so teams would value him. No, he was a top 16 overall pick. That type of player, fluid athletes who can be around the ball, are going to be drafted highly. And yes, people are going to say Darion Kendrick had a bad game against Ohio State. First of all, who doesn't have bad games against Ohio State? Second of all, the deep play that people are referring to over the top to Olave, I don't know what the heck that free safety was doing. But if you're talking about in phase, Darion Kendrick was with Olave, got to the point, and almost made a play on the ball, even without the safety help even being there. So I definitely agree with you. Darion Kendrick is one of my favorite cornerbacks in this class outside those top three. So really like that. And not much to be said here, but if frickin' Darisaw is on the board here for the Chargers at 13,
it's a must draft. Yeah.
Just,
I mean, looking at the board, I don't think it's terribly unlikely that this happens.
For sure. I mean,
the Cowboys might, the Bengals might, maybe the Broncos. I don't know, but this is a steal. This is actually, I don't want to say steal because I think this is his perfect range for like his value where he should be drafted. But I don't know if there's been a player that has helped his draft stock more than Christian Darisaw. Maybe Zach Wilson, but
fully agree here.
Yeah.
Now we're at 14 on the Vikings, and although yes, I would agree with the Draft Network that they need interior offensive line. Dakota Jozier is just awful, but at the same time here, you lost Yannick Ngakoue to a trade earlier in the season.
I am with you here.
You lost Danielle Hunter for the season due to injury. You need a guy to compare opposite of him for the foreseeable future. And top guys on the board here, I mean, you could look like a Kwity Paye. I'm not going to talk about Rousseau, but Kwity Paye, Azeez Ojulari, like which one do you like the most here as a fit with opposite Danielle Hunter?
I think personally, I would take Ojulari. I think they take Paye. I think they take Paye.
Okay, so which one do you want to mock here?
Give him Paye. Let's give him Kwity Paye.
Like it.
This is not me saying that I would never take Paye here just because I like Ojulari more. Paye is really freaking good at football. Like, he's a stud. So
you look at it, like the first detractor that people can say, oh, he's a Michigan guy, he's just gonna be another Rashawn Gary. They are nothing alike as players. Okay, you're talking about Kwity Paye. First of all, he's a true edge rusher.
Yeah,
Rashawn Gary never was. Second of all, you're looking at this guy. He's got the frame. He's 6'4", 280 pounds, and talking about freaky athleticism. I mean, let me tell you, this guy made Bruce Feldman fucking collegiate.
It's crazy.
His bend, his technique in general, like he's a really good pass rusher day one. And
watching him just turn the corner, just in like half a step, is wild.
I was watching the Minnesota game.
I know exactly the rep you're talking about.
The one where he literally like knifed under the tackle
and then
got
the running
back. The running back before he even passed the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, Vikings fans should be definitely happy to get a value like that at 14. Now, 15 here. This is between two players specifically.
It's between the top two on the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which one are you thinking though?
Man, I don't know. You could take either. It's literally a coin flip. Like, obviously people are like, oh, Bill Belichick's going to value Freiermuth more because the blocking. I think Bill Belichick values good football players more than anything.
And he said it before. I think it was like 2004, 2005. He's basically saying like, if I'm scouting the tight end position, he told his scouts what to look for, right? He's like, I want guys who are fluid, who can catch the ball, who can run crisp routes. Maybe they're not fully developed as blockers. We can coach them to be good blockers.
Exactly.
Get me guys who know how to make plays with the ball. And that is Kyle Pitts. Now, if you want to give them Smith or Pitts, I'm totally fine with either. But what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Pitts.
I like it.
For that exact reason you just said, you can develop his blocking. He's even developed it a bit this year in relation to last year. But you get him in that offense, whoever that quarterback might be. But he brings receiving upside that's better than a lot of the wide receivers in this class. He's probably the best receiving tight end I've seen in recent memory, and Bill Belichick is gonna know that. Obviously, Devonta Smith is a Heisman favorite, a Heisman finalist, and I think that he might win it. But there's a reason that Kyle Pitts was nominated as a finalist for both the Mackey Award and the Blitnikoff. He's a freak at both positions and can do both for you.
Yeah, for sure. Like he would be a top 5 receiver in the class if he was listed at receiver.
Yeah. He literally beats press coverage on the boundary regularly.
Yeah, which is insane for a tight end.
Yeah.
But we're here, 16, and there again. We mentioned how we got pay with the Vikings pick. I just see no way that Ojulari goes past the Cardinals here.
I'm with you.
You get again. Chandler Jones missed the season this past season. Even behind him, Hassan Reddick's a free agent. You don't have much else. Get a guy in Ojulari who, quite frankly, his technique already is so refined for such a young player. You pair him opposite Chandler Jones, let him learn behind a guy like that. That's a freakish pass rush. There's even right out the gates, and Ojulari for the future could definitely develop into a really high level player for you. So I think that's a slam dunk. If Ojulari goes to the Cardinals, that's a great spot for him to really develop.
Ojulari might have the best bend in the class.
Oh yeah.
That dude can get literally parallel to the ground. It's pretty crazy to see, but he'll probably be my edge one if I had to guess.
Definitely makes sense. So. Now we're with the Raiders on the clock here at 17, and there's one weapon on defense here that I really think would intrigue a team like the Raiders. And I know I'm looking at edges right now, but he's not an edge. I'm looking at Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Look at the versatility he can add to them. Again, they have nothing on the back end. I mean, they're high-priced, high-value free agent Corey Littleton did not play well this year. Yeah. Their first-round safety from 2 years ago has been one of the worst coverage safeties I think either of us have seen in quite a while. This guy likes to hit like bricks, but doesn't do much else. Getting a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah can kind of, mend both of those type needs. And in reality here, you get a guy who can do a multitude of things for a defense that was pretty pathetic overall. It just helps the learning process for the other guys as well. Getting a guy who can really fill a multitude of spots, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, arguably one of the most versatile defensive players in this entire class. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't hate it. I always mock them in edge rusher.
That's fair.
Because Cleveland Farrell has done nothing, and Max Crosby has regressed to the mean. So it's kind of just what they are going to value. I don't know if they'd go edge rusher in the first round again because they feel like they did it too soon, which is dumb, but that might be a thing that they think. I definitely agree with everything you said about JOK. Versatile chess piece who can play the true linebacker or like a rover type position. So I don't mind the pick.
All right, perfect. And leading into the next pick at 18, and no real introduction needed. I'm just gonna do it.
Pick it.
I'm just gonna do it.
They need a wide receiver. Devonta Smith is about to win the Heisman as wide receiver.
Yep, there you go.
That's all you need to say.
Anyways, moving on. 19, and if you're a football team fan, like if Matt's watching this, he's gonna be pretty happy at this scenario because two guys are slam dunk type values here for them, and I'm looking at Rashawn Slater and I'm looking at Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, either.
If either of those guys are on the clock here when Washington's picking, you go up, you choose which one you want, and you're absolutely ecstatic now. Yeah. Do you think, would you rather the tackle or the receiver here?
I think the tackle, personally, just because of the depth of receiver in this, like the receiver depth in this year's class is out of this world. Slater, personally, my offensive tackle too. I know big name people like Daniel Jeremiah has him as OT1. That's a bit much for me, but the dude's insane. He probably had the best game I've ever seen against Chase Young last year.
Yeah.
He's got really nice functional strength, really nice athleticism, hits blocks on the second level on the regular. There are going to be people that say move him to guard. It is warranted because he has some small arms, I think. But until we go to those official measurements, we won't know for sure. But he does seem to struggle with it. So even if he isn't a tackle in the NFL, you move him into guard. He's an
Damn
elite
good
pass
guard.
blocking guard. Yeah, he's
I mean,
awesome. So
I don't know why people want to give this negative aura to guys that, oh, they're going to be really good guards. They shouldn't be tackled. Like, we look at it over the years.
yeah,
Zach Martin. There's so many different guys over the course of the last 10 years, quite frankly, that have been elite guards after playing tackle in college.
no,
And
yeah,
speaking of guys who are like, this guy's actually translated or like he's already like listed at a guard, even though he played tackle in college. I really like the fit of a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker here to Chicago. Obviously, you missed those top 3 tackles.
yeah,
Getting a guy on the interior, I mean, they've said they want to give Mitch another chance. And quite frankly, like obviously, if the top 4 quarterbacks, one of them is available, they take him. But like, you're not taking a Mac Jones, you're not taking a Kyle Trask here. The next best bet you can get here would be a guy like Vera Tucker or Davis. Well, what
yeah.
are you thinking though? I'm thinking Vera Tucker.
Real quick, let me just say, I think more so the people were getting mad about the tackle stuff or the shift to guard stuff when it's someone like Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But if there's a guy like Slater, I have him as a tackle, but if someone's like, I have him as a guard, I'm not gonna be like, oh, boo. Like I understand it, you know. But I'm definitely with you with AVT at this pick. You look at the top 2 needs according on this website, offensive tackle and an interior offensive line. Like he played interior offensive line last year, played tackle this year, and was good at both of them. Yeah. So whatever they want to play him at, I think he'll be a guard. But it can fill a need at either of them. So
for sure, I really like the versatility he gives. For you. Again, like unless he's playing like a Kayvon Thibodeau type fucking length edge rusher, like he should be able to hold his own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like the fit there for Chicago. Now you're back on the clock here as the Jacksonville Jaguars, and again, I would agree. You can either get a seam monster like a Pat Freiermuth to give Trevor Lawrence a weapon inside, or you can really shore up that tackle core given Cam Robinson struggles. You like Jawan Taylor on your right side, but you really truly need a left tackle to complement that. But what are your thoughts here?
I always lean tackle. If like Kyle Pitts isn't available with this pick, I'd take a tackle. Cam Robinson has been better down the stretch, but I think he's going to want way more money than they want to give him.
Yeah.
And he played at a replaceable level for the majority of the year. Looking at the tackles available, Jalen Mayfield's a right tackle, so I would not take him. It's down to Eichenberg or Cosme.
I like that.
I think if you want a day 1 starter, solidified, good tackle, you take Eichenberg. If you want a guy who's still very good, a little bit more upside, you take Cosme. So.
And I would agree with that sentiment too. And the reason why, again, I would lean Cosme in that instance is because you're getting a young franchise quarterback. You already have young pieces on defense. You get a guy who can really build and learn and develop with them. And Cosme's ceiling, again, I agree. He does have a higher ceiling than Eichenberg. And ultimately here, if you're the Jaguars, you're shooting for ceiling in that rebuild. So really like that fit there for them as well. And to be quite honest, the other tackle might just go off right now. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, he might. Anthony Costanzo got hurt last year, considered retirement, and then got hurt again this year. He'll definitely consider it again. Might actually go this time. So you look at the top 2 tackles. Costanzo's a left. Mayfield's a right. Eichenberg is a left. You can maybe take Mayfield and have him learn under Costanzo if he stays, but if he retires, you have to take Eichenberg. So I lean Eichenberg.
I agree. And now you're on the clock here with the Cleveland Browns, and again, if you're Cleveland, you got a multitude of positions that you can address, and a lot of guys that are suitable for it. Again, you look at the edge rushers. A guy like Osai makes sense here. Jalen Phillips, and if you want to take the chance on the athletic upside of Rousseau, I'm here for it in the late first. But and then you look at the linebackers available. I mean, Zayvon Collins, Nick Bolton in particular really catch my eye. But what are your thoughts here? Where do you think they lean?
One of our good buds, Corey Canan, my site manager with the first pick, is a Browns fan, and he's adamant that they will not take a linebacker in round 1.
Respectable.
So I lean edge rusher, and I struggle seeing any scenario where Greg Rousseau falls anymore.
Respectable.
I have my concerns with Rousseau. I don't know if he's necessarily a pass rusher just yet. I think he's an athlete playing edge rusher.
And again,
He's got the length, he's got the strength, he got the versatility. They played him inside, but he needs some development.
My main comparison for him, like I've been touting this around, and it just makes sense because given the way they play, he seems to me like a smaller David Irving, if that makes sense, in the sense that he can really win inside with athleticism. He's got functional strength. He's a really good athlete. He can do that. Now, David Irving ended up being more refined later in his career prior to obviously all the issues we are that are well documented, but I think he can absolutely develop into a David Irving type player. And if that's the case, I mean, David Irving, before he had those issues, was one of the best inside defensive linemen in the NFL.
I don't mind that at all. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say undersized D tackle because again, he's still 290 pounds, but if I want to say slimmer, if I want to say more athletic, if I want to say quicker, I definitely feel like Gregory Rousseau can fill that role. Again, I think we both have our things against him that we don't think he can be a pure edge rusher right off the bat because his bend and his technique is just not suffice, to say the least, at this current point. But this is an athlete. This is a talented kid. You plug him into a team like the Browns, really got a good culture. Give him a lot of time to really grow, learn. I definitely feel like he can develop into a really successful player in the league. So I think that's a good spot for him. Again, some people might have him in like the top 10, top 15. I think that's way too rich for him. But you want to take a chance on the athleticism in the end of the first round. Again, he's probably going to end up with more so like a low 2 for me. But if you want to take the chance on an athlete at this point, you're a good team. You're a playoff team. You can afford to take that chance. I'm fine with that. So I agree with you.
Sure. I do understand what you're saying about David Irving. I'm not sure he gets as heavy as Irving.
Oh, no, I don't think he gets that. That's why I said more so like an undersized version.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Could he get to like 265-ish? I think he can get there, probably, but he's never going to be like a 290 defensive lineman.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now this is really a spot here. These next 3 picks, we can see the same position go off, and I think you can understand which one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So starting off here, if Clowney leaves, you already are thin, opposite of Landry to begin with. If Clowney leaves, then you literally have nothing. So getting a guy like Osai here, I think would be a slam dunk value too. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I agree with you. Osai, he's one of the best edge rushers in this class, and with the needed edge rusher, if Clowney leaves, which he probably will, you got to take the pick. You have now a defensive line of Osai, Jeffrey Simmons, and Harold Landry, who obviously hasn't lived up to the expectations that some had, but he's still fine. Like, he's still been okay. But Osai he can pick up the slack. So
for sure. Now we got your team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, on the clock.
Yeah. What do you think? Obviously, edge rusher is a big need. Obviously, offensive tackle is a big need. But you look at the edge rushers. I think if there's one I'd take, it'd be Jalen Phillips, and I'm not sure if I'd take him here yet. If you switch the offensive tackles for me real quick.
Yep, got you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Got you.
You got Jalen Mayfield. They need a left tackle, though. They got Tristan Wirfs, who's playing at an all-pro level on that right side. And I don't think Jalen Mayfield's the type of guy they're going to take because they're kind of in win-now mode also.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go a little bit off the beaten path here. Christian Barmore from Alabama.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
You look at that. You look at who. Obviously, he's like 75th on the overall board here. That's too low.
Yeah.
Go watch the tape. He is disruptive. You could see it in that game against Notre Dame. He was getting in the backfield just about every play. He had a sack.
Yeah.
His stat sheet isn't filled with numbers, but he's making a difference. You can tell when you watch him. And
he seems like a Buccaneer. I mean, you mentioned IDL. That doesn't really have crazy numbers.
Yeah.
If you look at Todd Bowles, he doesn't necessarily need his IDLs, his interior defensive lineman, to make all the plays because that's what you get your linebackers. That's what you get your edge rushers for.
Yeah, he needs the guys that can just eat space and free up lanes for his athletic freaks of linebackers to go wreak havoc in the backfield. You got Vita Vea, who is elite nose tackle, probably my favorite player on this team.
Top 2 nose tackle in the league.
Yeah, and then our interior defensive linemen are Ndamukong Suh and Will Golston, who are both on the wrong side of 30. Sue might not come back next year. Golston has been playing his best football. So I would be shocked if he doesn't come back, but you need a young gun in there who can run alongside Vita Vea and
Really
create more just havoc in that backfield for that defense.
Yep, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Now, I think the Ravens really look long and hard at another pass rusher because obviously Matt Judon is not signed long term. In reality here, again, the Ravens have always been built on a fierce, ferocious defense, and that starts with getting pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Who do you think, who would you envision to be the Judon replacement in this instance?
Yannick Ngakoue is also not under contract, so they could lose both starting edge rushers this offseason.
Which would be crazy.
That'd be tough. Yeah. I think my next best is going to be Jalen Phillips from Miami. I think he's also yours. So
yeah, he's phenomenal. And people might think this as a bold take, but if you're talking about an edge rusher, he is the best Miami edge rusher prospect in this class. And I'm going to stick to my guns on that. He's probably going to end up in my top 3 or 4 overall at the edge position this year. He is phenomenal. I mean, I can't keep singing his praises. I don't want to get the video too long, but
yeah.
Now we're back with the Jets, and obviously they adjust the quarterback position with their first pick with Justin Fields. And this pick here is the one I make a lot. Actually, wait. Bateman's on the board. I don't think I can pass him. Never mind.
Oh, you were going to say Olave, weren't you?
Yeah.
Because I was too, and then I remember Rashad Bateman was on the board.
Bateman was on the board. Yeah. Okay.
I love Rashad Bateman.
He's your wide receiver one, no?
He probably will be. He's so good, man. He reminds me of Keenan Allen. They move the same. They run routes the same. They're going to test similarly athletically, I think. He's a certified stud. So
yeah, I was gonna say Olave, but Bateman fell to them. So
yeah.
That's wild. Now we're back on the clock here. Number 28 for the Steelers, and we mentioned Jalen Mayfield as being a pure right tackle. You don't really know the status of your tackles here. Obviously, Villanueva is not signed long.
They need a left though.
That's the problem. Now, do you take a developmental option like Mayfield and try to play him at left? Or
I think if they want a left, they're gonna take Radens.
Got you. Okay.
But is that what they do?
Or do you take
Freiermuth?
You could do that, or there's also, I know we don't advocate for running backs in the first round, but there's a guy that absolutely fits the skill set they're looking for from their backs and does a little bit of everything for them here. That screams like a Steeler.
This is a fun pick. They can go a lot of different ways here.
Yeah. And
looking at.
Let's have fun. This we got fantasy on the channel. Let's make a little fantasy pick here.
Go for it.
Fuck it. Najee Harris.
Love it.
Man.
Najee Harris, man.
I'm telling you right now, if he lands on the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's easily the first non-quarterback off the board in your dynasty rookie drafts. Like the fit is just made out of like dreams, if you will.
Yeah. I think if he lands on the Steelers or the Bucks.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Now we're back. Obviously, like one of your least favorite teams in the league. After talking about the Bucks, your favorite. Now we got one of your least here. Where do you think the Saints lean? It's
hard because they need a linebacker. You look at Quan Alexander, just hurt, has a fat contract. They're going to try and dump because they're way over the cap. Also, they get a little bit of help with the report that Drew Brees is going to probably retire in the offseason. Do they stick with Taysom Hill though? That's the question. Look, Sean Payton's a really smart coach, and it's hard for me to believe that he really truly thinks that Taysom Hill is their next franchise quarterback.
That's fair. So you thinking Mac Jones then, or you thinking linebacker?
If they take a quarterback, it's Mac Jones.
Yeah,
it's just
if they take a linebacker, I think it would be Nick Bolton.
Yeah, I'm with you. Man, I just don't know which one they do.
That's fair.
What do you think?
Okay. This is going to be one. I'm under the assumption right now that Breeze is on his last straw.
Yeah.
And like until he says that he's returning, I just, as a franchise, would prepare for the case that he wouldn't. Again, we're doing this from an NFL team perspective. We're doing this for worst case scenario. Right now, if you're the Saints and the draft is tomorrow, you'd have to be scared that your 42-year-old quarterback's not coming back. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, I mean, I think Mac Jones would be a really good fit as the heir apparent to Breeze. I'm sure Breeze would definitely give him some tips if he landed on the Saints, help coach him up, because Breeze,
Definitely.
quite frankly, would be a really good person to learn from if you're a guy like Mac Jones. Again, this is a really smart, refined quarterback. Obviously, he's got his limitations. He's not the best athlete. Doesn't have the absolute cannon of a Trey Lance in this class. But I'm telling you, in terms of placement, in terms of anticipation, he's one of the most progressed quarterbacks, quite frankly, in this class in terms of the overall mental game that he brings. And learning from a guy like Drew Brees who can really keep enhancing that aspect of him, I think would be perfect, a perfect spot for Mac Jones.
Yeah, I do think Mac Jones is a bit underrated in terms of this quarterback class. I think a lot of people, they're talking about the big guys and they throw names like Desmond Ridder or Kyle Trask up there, but I think Mac Jones is definitely that next guy. He has, like you said, the anticipation and the accuracy to really step in and make a difference for a team that's in win now. Is he a long-term starter? No. But the Saints, they're there. They can make a run. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL and have for a few years. So getting a guy like Mac Jones with that accuracy and just overall like high level of play that he's brought at Alabama and learned from under Nick Saban is going to be a big thing for that offense.
For sure. I definitely like that. I'd be excited if he landed there too.
Yeah.
Now we're back on the clock here with the Bills, and I'm looking at one guy in particular because this is a massive need for them. They have nobody in the secondary or at the cornerback position. They have good safeties, opposite of Trey White. And if a guy like Eric Stokes is on the board, I just have real trouble passing him up here.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was a run on corners early in the teens and the like between 10 and 7 or like 5 and whatever the last one was.
Yeah, like 5 and 12 or something like that.
Yeah. When did J.C. Horn go? He went to the Cowboys. So
10.
like there were 3 in the top in between 5 and 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Kendrick went at 12.
Right. So I do think Eric Stokes. I do think he is the next one. I'm just trying to think. Does the NFL? I'm thinking either him or Tyson Campbell, the two Georgia guys, because Tyson Campbell, a lot like Darion Kendrick's, got that athleticism that the NFL covets. I do think it goes Eric Stokes because he's better, but Eric Stokes got the technique and decent athleticism. Tyson Campbell's the opposite. He's got decent technique and really good athleticism. So
now we're basically at a similar predicament here.
Yeah.
Backers can go one of two in positions really here. You can get Aaron Rodgers some help, or you can cover the other team's best receivers. I mean, you got Jair Alexander, great. You have nothing after. Kevin King is awful. I mean, fucking Josh Jackson is maybe like a quarterback 4 on your team.
It's not good. It's not good.
So I'm looking at it. You could go with an Asante Samuel Jr. here, or you can go to the receiver position and maybe get a Tony or an Olave to really complement what Devontae Adams brings to you from a possession standpoint. So what are your thoughts here? Where would you personally lean?
So looking at this list, the wide receivers, Terrace available, Terrace Marshall, Kadarius Toney, Chris Olave. There's obviously there are odds that some of these guys that we took earlier last to this pick also. And then you look at the list of cornerbacks, if you can switch real quick.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's quite literally only like 2 or 3 that I'm.
Yeah. I think you have to go corner. Because it's just depth of position, basic draft value stuff. If you don't take a corner here, you're probably going to be taking Kerry Vincent in the second round, which is not what you want. Mwamu, yeah, the guys that need a lot of help, a lot of development.
Not to mention, didn't Chase Lucas go back to school as well?
Yeah, I don't know if their stuff's fully updated yet, but
no, but I'm saying like that's just another name that's off the list at
position. It's fewer. Yeah, exactly. And you look at the top. I'm gonna say 3. I still think Shaun Wade can be a good nickel, but you need an outside guy there in Green Bay, so it's the top 2, and I think it could be either. Who do you want to take? It could literally be either.
Well, you got the stickier man-to-man corner in Jair Alexander. He's a little shorter in frame. Getting a guy like Tyson Campbell with the big frame opposite him probably makes more sense from a schematic standpoint. So I do like Campbell's fit opposite of Jair Alexander here.
Yeah, definitely.
now we're back on the clock here, and the Chiefs can literally do anything. They can
So
take like
I know everyone is mocking, everyone and their mother's mocking Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs, but I'm not going to. It'd be sick, but there's a thing called too many cooks in the kitchen, or too many mouths to feed. That's the one, and they have a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. So this is personally, you could mock him to the Ravens also because they don't have a good center, but Creed Humphrey,
I like it.
Amazing center, awesome player. He's, not the most athletic, but he's fine. You can get him to do some nice creative stuff in that Andy Reid offense with some pulls and all that. But elite communicator, very smart on the offensive line, was the best offensive lineman when that Oklahoma offensive line won the best in the nation. He was the best out of all. And now that, like, Cody Ford, Ben Powers, who's the
what's his name? Drew Samia,
all them, yeah. So I think with the need at center, they don't really need a guard. They got Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who opted out to go help people with COVID in Canada.
Kaleshio Semele.
Yeah. Tardif will come back, and you're just left with a hole at center. And I think you can either do Creed Humphrey or Josh Myers there.
I just took Humphrey. So
maybe even Landon Dickerson. We haven't talked about Landon Dickerson. So.
Yeah, he's solid as well. I also really like his teammate right next to him, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's sick. Man. When I watched Deontay Brown, first game I plugged in, he's going up against Derek Brown. And let me just say, he was the best Brown on the field that day.
Yeah, he's a bully. He's a bully. Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah. So we'll do a little quick recap and then get out of here. But going through it, obviously, Lawrence 1, Fields 2. You guys can see the board. I don't really need to say every name, but give you some ample time to read the picks. Yeah. And if you guys enjoy the content, you like seeing these type of videos, mock drafts, theoretical team building here, make sure you go comment down below. I don't know, team build if you made it this far in the video and you really enjoyed. But with that being said, make sure you go check Garrett out. Really good content over at With the First Pick. Go check his Twitter, tweeting some real big bombs on the daily.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we get some nice interactions from some simple minds that we can just educate further. But with that being said, appreciate having you on. Really fun video.
Of course. And, thanks for having me on.
Anytime, man. Gonna wrap it up. For sure.
Yeah.
Take it easy, y'all. See you next time.